Okay, my guys. Before I introduce all the guests, um, we're gonna do something, for Mr. Kobe B. Bryant very soon. But before I start all that, because I always like to make sure sound, sounds. I need thumbs up. It sounds good. The video quality is good and all that good stuff. So I'm waiting for one thumbs up before I get this thing started. Also, depending how this chat goes, there's no phone calls because I know on Tuesdays I usually have phone calls for the live stream. There's not gonna be any phone calls. There's gonna be 4 podcasters, like YouTubers, in this conversation, so it's too much to bring phone calls and all that. So I see Mary, Jorge, Baltimore, thumbs up all the way. That's awesome. So we're gonna try to keep up with the chat. If obviously, if you guys do super chat, I can see it. But if not, this is not for me to tell you. You have to do super chat. I'm gonna try to keep up, but there's 4 of us talking, so bear with us. It's gonna be a minute, okay? Anyway, guys, thank you for joining the live stream off-season talk. We said that we were gonna do this 4 podcasts for the AFC North again, and we're gonna introduce them one by one. All their descriptions down below for their channels. Okay, so first, my boy, Mr. Ace Boogie.
Hey, what's going on? I'm glad to be here again. Thanks, Sonny, for having me back on. Glad that we're able to do this again. My name is Ace Boogie of New Stripe City. You can find me on YouTube at New Stripe City. I also do a podcast called Orange is the New Black under the name Cincy Jungle.
Love that name, man. Okay, then one of my favorite trash talkers. You know how he is. He is a little delusional. I'm convinced that he fell out of something at some point. Mr. Tony.
Failed out of everything. Yeah, I appreciate it. That was very, very kind words there, Sonny. I appreciate it.
Where's the dog mask?
Oh, you want? I have. We'll bring that out. We'll bring that out later. Appreciate you having me back. I love coming on here. I am the former host of Locked On Steelers. I am no longer with that podcast, but my former co-host Chris Carter is still doing the show. It's still a great show. So if you're a Steeler fan listening and you're looking for Steelers content on a daily basis, subscribe. Locked On Steelers.
I would say I get Bengals fans. I get Clowns fans. I haven't seen a Squealer fan in this channel.
Oh, well, we can change that right now. Let me put the word out on Twitter.
So it's funny because, again, especially when we play that team, like when we play the Bengals, there's gonna be, I have like 2 or 3 that usually pop around at sometimes in the live stream.
Yeah.
But like in a consistent basis. But when there's the week of the game, then the Bengals fans are here, and then the same thing for the Browns. But
look, Sonny, I mean, Steelers fans, we're very quiet, humble.
of
We
course,
like to talk a lot. Just let our actions speak louder than words. That's how we are.
Cincy Bengal fan was one of them that he's always in the channel, good, bad, or ugly, doesn't matter. He will talk trash when they play. So shout out to him. There's a couple of Browns fans that are not here right now, but they also do it. Okay. Anyway, and Mr. Free Agent is what he's calling himself these days. A Shing of the Clowns. I think he might call them the Clowns now. Mr. Quincy left.
All right.
I like it.
What is up, everybody? Free agent right here. I report on the Browns, of course, but I'm a free agent. So guess what? Nobody can hurt me. You can't hurt my feelings.
Nobody can hurt.
I'm about to be dishing it out because we all got some misery to talk about today. So let's do it.
Yes, only one team at the end of the year is only happy. The rest, we're all at any point sad.
None of us playing this Sunday. So
exactly. So before we get started, guys, I do want to say, me personally, I love basketball. As you've seen, I've done Wizards videos. I was never a Laker fan, so I'm not gonna be hypocrite here. I was not a Kobe fan either, but I respect the hell out of that guy. I always thought, damn, that determination. I want some of that. As I was telling Ace before we started, I said, like, LeBron, there's no diss to LeBron. LeBron, one of the best players ever, but he had the Mamba mentality with his talents, undisputable best greatest player in the world and ever, probably. It shocked me. I mean, 41-year-old, his daughter, for me, was tragic. It sucked. So, like I told the guys, I am going to just put a 24-second countdown here as a moment in silence, and then we're going to start the podcast. Okay, guys. I will say, remember, we only have one life. You never know when it's up for us. So make sure any beef. I mean, the life is too short to keep beefs, going too long. And just enjoy life. It's better. We here do trash talking and all that, and it's fun, right? Nothing that we do here is personal, and then just take it like that. Okay. Anything you guys want to say before we keep going?
Just real quick, Kobe Bryant, more than just a basketball star, kind of a purveyor of the religion that is Mamba mentality that I know, has helped people, sure, on the basketball court, but I mean, just going through college, and many men and women that were getting through their finals week using the Mamba mentality, locking in, doing the thing. And, he really inspired so much greatness just by his greatness alone on the basketball court. And that's an inspiration to not only me, everybody in here, but everybody in the chat room too. Use your greatness, be great. And, your greatness and your ability to be great will inspire others to do great things, which will make this world a better place. So thank you, Kobe.
Yeah, well said. Well said. It's a tragedy, not just him, but the daughter. I mean, all 9 people on that. But for him and his daughter, to both be lost in that crash is just an absolute tragedy. And you can tell by everything that's happened over the last couple of days, as far as people reaching out, how many people he touched. And I'm still having trouble processing it now that we lost Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, same here. Definitely thoughts and prayers to the victims and all of their families. Losing 2 13-year-old girls on one flight is just nothing that you want to hear about. Someone lost a mother, someone lost, a husband, father. So definitely shouts out to all of them. As you guys can see behind me, definitely was a Lakers fan. Definitely was a huge Kobe fan. And it wasn't just about basketball, as these gentlemen have talked about. It's about that mentality and working hard and, putting in the work to challenge yourself every day, day in out, whether that's in your job, whether that's in life, whether that's in being a father like Kobe was, to be the best version of you. And I think that although, those guys are gone, his memory would definitely continue to live on, and that mentality will continue to live on.
For sure. Again, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, and everybody in that flight. Okay, my guys. So we did say that we're gonna do this thing, review end of year. We all have some, heavy hearts. And what I wanted to start this podcast was each of us using one word to describe your season for your team and explain why that. Yeah. I'll start. I'll start. Okay. So I'll start one word, but also explain why you use that word. Okay. Okay. So I'll start. I will say for us, how I feel our season went was incomplete. Obviously, I predicted that the team was going to be 11-5. They surpassed my expectation for the regular season, but I also thought we were going to go to the AFC Championship, and that's where we fell short. Back-to-back years, playoff loss. First game we lost. As soon as we get to the first game, we lose. Obviously, this year was a step forward because we took that bye, but still incomplete because I think as soon as we went to a 14-2, I said 12-4, 14-2 season, expectations were at least Super Bowl, right? Not if not champion, at least to reach it. So, in my opinion, we fell incomplete. Who's next?
Oh, let me go.
Go.
What team are you even representing here? I mean,
Browns, since that's the obvious team left out of this situation.
All right. Okay.
My man's wearing a Joe Mixon jersey. He got Lamar Jackson as an angel getting carried by a raven. I don't even know what that is.
You don't know what it is? Do you see Game of Thrones?
That's not official apparel.
It's not.
All right. Tony got the logo back on his hat. Shout out Joe Noble. I see you in the chat. I want one word is one phrase. It's called Boo Boo Smith Schuster. This is the word to use to describe the Brown season. Because Boo Boo Smith Schuster and the Cleveland Browns did the exact same thing. Because Boo Boo Smith Schuster was supposed to be this big number one wide receiver, right, Tony? He was supposed to take over the league. He was supposed to take over that spot for AB. He was supposed to become the new face of the AFC North, the new face of receivers. In the division that had AJ Green, AJ Green, no more Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Lamar Jackson.
Hollywood, but yeah.
He's cool, but he ain't in that conversation.
No, so your actual word here is deflection, because what you're doing here is I'm talking about the Cleveland Browns. Because if you want me to talk about the Browns, listen. You want to talk about the Steelers season? I'll talk about the Browns because I got plenty of words to describe the Browns season.
Tony, there's a deeper analogy here, baby. Just calm down.
All right.
He's getting deep. He's getting deep.
Out, relax. Get the little towel. Relax now. All right. So, look, Boo Boo Smith-Schuster was supposed to be a big star. He was supposed to take over the AFC North, become one of the stalwart stars of this league and start to be the face of a new generation. And the Cleveland Browns coming into the season were supposed to do the exact same thing. They were supposed to take over the league. They were supposed to be this special thing. They were supposed to break the mold and become the number one, just like Juju was supposed to become the number one wide receiver. But he ain't. All right. And what happened with
because like the Steelers, we're going with this.
He got 500 yards. He had an average boo year. And what did the Browns do? They went 6-10 and lost to the 1-win Bengals. Boo Browns. All right. And that 1 win when we lost to them, we gave them the second dub. I don't know how we beat the Bills and the Ravens. How the Browns beat the Bills and the Ravens. But they lost to the damn Bengals at home. I had to watch that in person. Shout out. That was all right. Anyway, but just like Boo Boo Smith-Schuster failed to deliver on expectations mightily, but since he's a Steeler, we let that slide. The Browns, Boo Boo Smith-Schuster. Shout out.
Okay.
Deflection.
Tony, you want to
deflection is his word. We got it. What word to describe the Steelers? Schadenfreude? I think Steeler fans just enjoyed watching the Ravens crumble in the playoffs. We enjoyed watching the Browns crumble in the regular season. We enjoed watching the Bengals.
Deflection.
Tony,
the Bengals
football podcast. You out here playing tennis. Deflected.
All right. Well, if you want a word to describe the Steelers season as defense. I mean, the thing about this team that is going to be remembered going forward, it's the emergence of what was one of the league's best defenses, one of the 3 best defenses in the league. You can put the 49ers up there, the Patriots up there, but you're going to put the Steelers right behind them. And I think that's what's going to be remembered about this season. Look, Duck and Mason and the quarterback problems, and yes, Boo Boo himself, James Conner and his problems. All of that is going to be – we're going to talk about all that tonight. But the thing that Steeler fans have going for them is that this defense is back to where it needs to be, an elite level. And if they can get the offense back on track, and that starts with one Ben Roethlisberger, they will be just fine going forward. So that'll be our defense is the word to describe the 2019 Pittsburgh Steelers.
Is Big Ben trying to go for – go ahead, man.
Tony, may I submit a different phrase?
Sure.
RG.
Okay. Sonny, I told Sonny this the last time I was on his podcast. I told him, listen, 4D chess for the Steelers. I don't actually want them to win in the playoffs, nor did I really want them to make the playoffs, considering what happened, right? The Steelers don't make it. The Tennessee Titans do make it. The Tennessee Titans take out the New England Patriots. The Patriots cannot get their 7th Lombardi, beating the Steelers to 7. And then they take out the Ravens back to back. I mean, this is the perfect scenario for Steeler fans. So thank you. Thank you, Tennessee Titans.
Baby. That's what we do every time we lose. Hey, we lost to the Bengals. Who's trying to get that top 10 pick? We out here trying to get an offensive lineman for Alabama.
Listen, Mike Tomlin should win Coach of the Year for what he did, not only taking what should have been a 4-win team to an 8-win team, but just narrowly missing the playoffs so that the Patriots and Ravens get eliminated by the team that makes it in their place. This is like 6 dimensional.
Can we acknowledge that the Steelers have went from the greatest franchise on planet Earth to pulling the Miami Dolphins. Our team stinks so bad, and our coach did all right, so let's make him coach of the year argument. Have we fell on that bar? Have we?
Listen, from a guy who just watched Freddie Kitchens for 16 games, I can understand why you don't understand what good coaching is anymore. But, Mike Tomlin is definitely in the running and will be in the running for coach of the year.
I've never seen a good coach, but I know Jim Harbaugh, a good coach.
Jim Harbaugh?
You're talking about
John Harbaugh. That's a big distinction. My bad.
That's the story of his life. Anyway, Ace, go ahead, man.
I was just thinking in my head what word could I use to describe the Bengals season, and I think I have to go with Burrow.
I was going to say Burrow.
I think you guys know why.
All right, baby.
And one thing that was cool was, I kind of went into this season with low expectations, right? I think I had the highest, obviously, out of all four of us. But for me, nobody expected the Bengals to do anything. I think they still expected us to win more than 2 games. But sometimes you have to fail in order to get better. And if you were to tell me that we would have went 6-10 or 7-9 and kept Andy Dalton next year, or would you rather go 2-14 and end up with Joe Burrow after the season that he just had? I think I'd take the 2-14.
Yeah, I would say it's funny because, and as we segue to the next topic, we assuming Burrow's gonna be the pick. I think it should be a given, right? So this division will have 3 young, talented quarterbacks.
Heisman winning quarterbacks.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's true too. And then we're gonna have a quarterback trying to get to the Guinness World Records, the heaviest quarterback to play in the NFL.
Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
Hey, Sonny, it can also be that this division has Matt Judon, with one of the TJ Watt. He's pretty good. Yeah. Myles Garrett, Chase Young. How that sound to you, Ace?
I think I would go with Burrow. I think I'd rather have Burrow.
You don't want to get Chase, baby?
Nah.
Let me tell you something.
10 years of Andy Dalton has been enough.
Why is there so much talk, Ace, of the Bengals actually trading this pick? This is never going to happen, right? They're taking Burrow. It's a lock, right?
Ohio State.
Yeah, they're gonna take Burrow. There's no way Mike Brown loves quarterbacks. There's no way. This is a guy that passed on the Ricky Williams trade, which was all of their draft picks for one, to draft Achilles Smith. And Achilles Smith is nowhere in the same league as Joe Burrow. So
one of my favorite Bengal quarterbacks, though.
I got a hypothetical question for you. What if they drafted Chase Young, traded back for an extra pick, and then drafted Jake Fromm in the 3rd round and said that was going to be the future?
I would love it.
I feel like that's about to happen. I feel like something Bengals about to happen. I hope not.
I don't. So the one thing that Mike Brown cares the most about, money. And Joe Burrow being from Ohio, being that, fans pretty much gave up on going to the games. The only way that somebody will show up there is if you draft Joe Burrow. If you don't, then our fans are going to riot. You'll probably see 2 fans in the stadium the whole season.
Bro, I'll drive down to Cincinnati myself. I'll put on a shirt to say I'm here for Ace.
So shout out to Asmodeus live calls. It will be great to debate with everyone. All shout out to Ace, Tony, and QC. I'm sub to all of y'all. So I would say I don't do live calls when we have the 4 of us because you see in here between us, we're all already
I'm watching chat, though. I'm watching chat. I'm seeing everything everybody's posting.
Yeah. So, but the guys are watching chat, and like I said, we'll put comments as we go as I see comments related to anybody in particular. Okay. So offseason is coming. But before we talk to the offseason, let's acknowledge that the only person that got it right was this guy here saying that we were going to win the division. As I remember,
hold on.
As I remember, Tony had us 3rd. Quincy had us 3rd.
Whoa. I had you second.
I think I had you guys.
Yeah, no, Quincy had the Steelers 3rd. He did.
Okay, so 2 second and a 3rd. And then now I was wrong because I did pick the Bengals 2nd. And sorry, not the Bengals, the Browns 2nd, Steelers 3rd, and the Bengals 4th. So obviously I flip-flop the Clowns.
Yeah, so we were all wrong. I accept your apology.
I did call that the Steelers were going to be 8-8, even though I said that they'd be the last team in the division. I said they'd be at 8-8. Sonny, you definitely predicted the Ravens. You also predicted the bad luck for the Bengals, the offensive line. Tony, James Washington, that was a really bad take. James Washington.
Wait, he led the team? No. He led the team. He led the team.
That's not
What
much.
are you talking about?
500 yards. What do you mean he led the
He led the
team?
team. I said he's going to be a breakout receiver, okay? And he led the team, my friends, okay? That's a breakout to me.
Led the team?
He led the team. One of the best passing attacks in the league, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he led
the team in receiving if he was on the Steelers. Third option.
This is the mind.
Odell and Jarvis both outdid your whole team.
In Tony's defense, he definitely called AB being a cancer, so we can give him that. But
that was obvious.
But James Washington and Dante Moncrief.
735 yards for James. I don't mean
wait, Tony, baby. Tony. Did you really say that at the beginning of the year?
I didn't even know this before I got on here.
Hold on, Tony.
That's number one receiver.
Dante Moncrief and James Washington. What about the Eagles?
James Washington, number one. I'll talk about that one.
Was Dante Moncrief team
What are you going to get to the fact that you guys told me Minka was like a B- player at best, and then he makes all pros. I'm glad because we got another hour left. If we want to spend the whole podcast proving how I was right and you guys were wrong on that first one,
no.
Literally all night.
Tony got some things right though. We got to get him some credit. He definitely got. Now the Steelers didn't go 10-6, but they were better. They were better than we all predicted them to be. But Sonny definitely got majority of his stuff right. You talk about Lamar Jackson. You talk about I believe he got the exact standings right too, right? Didn't you get that right as well?
No, I flipped the Browns and the Steelers.
Flipped the Browns and the Steelers, but yeah. I think we all were right on certain things. No one was like completely 100% right, but I think Sonny might have been the most right.
Hey, Tony. So Dante Moncrief and James Washington was about to equal AD.
Okay, the Dante Moncrief. That one. God.
No. We need to let the audience know how bad of an L this is.
No. Literally, my worst take of all time.
It got 18 yards through 5 games.
There's nothing you can say that shows how bad Moncrief was.
James Washington's number.
The worst wide receiver I've ever seen play in the National Football League was Dante Moncrief. I don't even know how many weeks did he play for the Steelers? 4?
Tony, I felt bad for you. Tony, I felt bad for you because I've got friends that were Jacksonville Jaguars fans, and I remember the Dante Moncrief stuff that happened with them because they were the first team that signed him from the Colts, and so I remember how bad that went. So.
And the crazy thing is he was very good in training camp. But when he broke his finger and somehow he never came back from a broken finger. My worst take. Literally my worst take of all time.
Shut up. By the way, Dante Moncrief in Jacksonville only had 100 yards less than James Washington this season.
He was the number one. So you're saying Moncrief was the number one. I mean, it was a good pick. It just ended up not working out. I get what you're saying.
You know James Washington knows about 1,000 yards in his career? Like if you add up all his yards?
James Washington was a breakout. Excuse me. The point was James Washington breakout year. He had like what?
735 yards and 3 touchdowns. It's not a breakout.
What did he have? Hold on.
It's not a breakout.
Excuse me. Hold on. What did he have in 2018?
Just because he was in 2018.
Breakout? Was it a breakout? Are we saying breakout? He had like 100 yards in 2018.
That's not receiver numbers. He was the number one dude.
Like a significant amount more. Like almost a breakout amount more almost.
That's not, no.
Almost a breakout. Almost.
Hey, hold on. Is that a breakout? Let's do a vote. Is that a breakout?
Here we go. Yeah.
For James Washington, since he's trash.
No, I don't know. James Washington was the 3rd tight end on the Baltimore Ravens. That would be a breakout. All right,
let's keep going.
Let Tony talk. But Tony did get right.
Minka?
I think he got right the Minka Fitzpatrick thing as well. I had to give him his credit on that. And
look,
Duck as well.
I'm not going to talk on this one. I'll let all of you talk about Minkah.
Look, I'm gonna say something about the whole Minkah thing. The reason why I agree, my favorite player coming out of this year's draft, no doubt, is Chase Young. My guys here know that I said Chase Young, if we could draft him, which it ain't gonna happen, that will be hands down for me to pick. But the reason why I agree with Ace is, doesn't matter if you have Taylor, right? JJ Watt in his prime, doesn't matter. If you don't have the quarterback, you ain't gonna win. So I still sustain the trade for Minkah, although it made the team better, and he was a great player for you guys and made the team a top 3 defense. Without Minkah, you're probably gonna be near the Ace Boogie's, the Bengals record, right?
Ooh.
And at that point, you can get that quarterback. No, but that
his contention is that Minkah made the defense significantly better, which I would agree with.
And I agree. So that defense wasn't doing the job that they did after Minkah. So I agree
with everything you're saying. Well, you forget about
I can't see them winning 2 games when they won 8 games without Ben Roethlisberger and with Duck Hodges at quarterback this year and Mason Rudolph.
They were 0-4 when Minkah showed up, if I'm not mistaken, right? 0-3 or something like that.
1-3 or something like that, I think.
When they traded for Minkah, they were 0-2.
Okay. Yeah. Minkah had a couple touchdowns, and those games that he had touchdowns, they won by less.
They won by less than a touchdown. Yeah, he at least won us 2 games with his direct impact on the scoreboard. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Plus other and turnovers. My point is,
I think we probably would have been like 5-11 without Minkah.
You would have been in the top 5 pick. Maybe not number 1 overall.
I don't know what that is. Pick. We weren't taking a quarterback is the point. Do we have to do this again? The Steelers were not taking a quarterback in this draft, period, end of story. Right? They have Ben.
I got a question for you.
I know every single one of you is going to mock me for Ben, and he looks like a defensive tackle.
We're going to let it go.
I'll say one thing, just to put things in perspective. Their pick would have been 18th in this draft. Would you? Yeah. I pretty much feel like we can say that Minkah Fitzpatrick will be worth better than the 18th pick. He was drafted 12th last year.
I agree with that statement. Yes, I agree with that.
That's definitely true because you got above value there. My question is, I think you might be underselling the Steelers defense there, man. Like, honestly, TJ Watt, Bud Dupree having the year he had, Devin Bush back there really maturing into his own. I know you've had the issues at safety, but to me, safety is a position that I have seen just countless random dudes get put in there. It's like the Ravens linebacker situation where they just need a veteran. Well, no. I'm not trying to roast anybody, but it's like the Ravens linebacker situation where they need an LJ Fort and some veterans to take that spot to be where they're supposed to be. And I think Minkah added that. He was where he was supposed to be. And he added something on top of that, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's 3 games worth of stuff. I don't know if the Steelers are much different than 8-8 if they don't make the trade for Minkah Fitzpatrick. I think the defense was really good before that. I think they probably just needed to make a replacement in the safety room, and they made it with an A+ player. But again, I don't know how much safeties affect them, and that's why I question the value of it because, it just so happened that the defense picked up right when Minkah, and we can say that was Minkah Fitzpatrick, but that could be a ton of other factors.
Well, right? You're absolutely right in saying there are so many players in this defense that made huge leaps year over year, right? Everybody, we all mocked Joe Hayden before the year. Joe Hayden had a career year. Steven Nelson coming from the Chiefs, a terrible defense, and everyone's like, you're taking a Chiefs corner. That's going to be your corner. He had a fantastic year as well. TJ Watt, may win defensive player of the year, certainly going to be in the running there. Bud Dupree finally turned the corner. Terrible pun, but I'm going to make it anyway. Devin Bush was very good as a rookie of the year. Even Mark Barron, who a lot of Steelers fans killed throughout the year, ended up being a pretty decent inside linebacker, certainly what they needed, right? So I agree with all of that. But the stats on Minkah, and I'm going to get this wrong, but it's something like this. Before week 8, he was targeted a bunch of times and had 5 interceptions. After that point, after week 8 or 9, he was only targeted 3 times after that. So he became a player in the secondary that offenses game planned around. Someone the Steelers have not had in the secondary since going all the way back to Troy Polamalu. So I think that was a huge reason why this defense not only got good, but stayed good consistently, right? You saw defenses like the Patriots kind of fall off at the end of the year. The 49ers haven't really fallen off defensively, but the Steelers did not, right? They maintained a level of consistency from the moment he got on the roster to week 17.
What happened with that corner?
I feel like though the Patriots fell off because they just weren't that good to begin with. I think they just got overrated early on. Like I remember saying this right after the Browns played them. I made a video about it. Sonny, you even know. I said there's no way the Ravens aren't going to crush the Patriots because of that defense is not as good as people think it was because the Browns played terribly and still were able to move the ball on them. I think the Steelers defense was legit before Minka Fitzpatrick. And I just question, like, I know you're convinced they weren't going to draft a quarterback, even though they need to get a solution in there, right? They need something. Because
what they're going to do and what we think they should do are two different things, right?
Yeah, but, because it's obvious that the solution is not – the future is not in the quarterback room right now for the Steelers as of right now. Now, Mason Rudolph can change my mind. Doubt it. But also, you need some help on offense. Like, that defense was so handcuffed by that offense. I mean, we joked about it, but James Washington leading the wide receiver room with 700 yards is not good, especially when you consider what other wide receiver rooms are doing. The Bengals won 2 games. They had a 1,000-yard wide receiver. The Browns were awful. Disappointments, especially on offense this year. They had 2 1,000-yard wide receivers. So if you're the Steelers, sure, Minka Fitzpatrick made a lot of sense because it just happened that he came around right when that defense started to turn around, and we don't know how much change he did. He might have been 5 games difference. I don't know of a safety that's not Ed Reed that's going to make 5 games worth of difference, or Troy Polamalu. And I like Minka Fitzpatrick. He's not that. But with that, it's like you could have had maybe, a wide receiver in this draft or offensive.
Yeah.
Piece. I think that's what you need really bad that you're not going to be able to get that help with. And I wonder if that's going to handcuff you going forward.
Absolutely. No, it's a huge point, right? Which is like, would you rather have Minka and what this defense is today, or would you rather have some sort of offensive player who's going to start right away? And it's a great point because, look, this defense is going to be very, very good. This defense was very, very good. The offense was terrible, worst in the league, and they didn't make the playoffs. They were 8-8, right? So, it goes back to that kind of idea in the National Football League itself, which is that defense doesn't really matter if your offense isn't any good, right? And so offense is what matters first. Then if you have a good defense, well, that's what makes you a contender. So the Steelers absolutely need to get this offense back on track. What every Steeler fan will tell you, and what I'm going to tell you tonight, is that Big Ben cures all ills. I mean, that's the only thing, and I did this on the last time I was on here. We are clinging to hope, Steeler fans. We are all just clinging to it with our last dying breath that Ben Roethlisberger inserted back into the offense, makes Juju a great receiver, gets Connor back on track. The offensive line gets rejuvenated. I mean, it's the only thing we have to live through because otherwise, we're screwed.
So Tony, so what I want to do next is we're gonna talk about each team, how we look in the offseason. I'm gonna start with Steelers since we already started that. But
yeah,
to Jay Will's point, they don't have 3 picks in the first 3 rounds. They have 1.
Well, they'll get a compensatory third for Le'Veon in all likelihood.
No, not for Le'Veon.
Why?
They might get a 4th.
No. We'll get a third. Based on the math right now, the Steelers will get a third. And I believe because it's not only contract. At this point that will change it.
It's not only contract; it's performance. And Le'Veon Bell performed.
No, it's only contract. It's only contract.
No, it's a. Go ahead, Ace.
Speaking of Le'Veon, that was a subject that we talked about on the first episode as well. And as Tony knows, the Steelers did attempt to try to trade and get him back once.
I miss him.
Our guy Connor was back. But. I was on Tony's side, especially with the Minka Fitzpatrick thing, until he put all the eggs in the Big Ben basket. And the reason I say that is because most people expected the Steelers to draft a quarterback. This is a guy that has needed a quarterback. We have the number 1 pick in the draft. I can confidently tell you guys that I don't think that the Steelers would have found a first-round quarterback this year in the draft, especially with Tua going down. Because for me, the 2 guys have always been Tua and Burrow. When Tua went down, that really just kind of wrecked it. I mean, you could pick Justin Herbert, but I wouldn't feel confident with that. Like, he looks the part. He's 6'5", 230, but he throws a whole bunch of interceptions. So I don't think he's a guy that could really come in and start. And then you look at the rest of this QB class, although you have the Jacob Easons and the Jake Fromms, those aren't guys that are ready to step in, next season. So
right away. Yeah. The Steelers need someone who's going to come in right now.
And then when you talk about wide receivers and stuff like that, like, they got Juju Smith-Schuster in the second round. There's a whole bunch of wide receivers that you can get in the second, third round. So I will have to agree with them on that. And the fact that they picked 18th, I can't really hold that against them. Now, if they would have sucked and they would have been like a top 10 pick or something like that, I would have been like, damn, you guys lost that trade.
Yeah.
The fact that they really needed a quarterback, I just didn't see it, but I don't want to keep going on that topic.
No, so going for that again. Let's start with the Steelers offseason. So just you have Bud Dupree as a free agent. Cap space currently, and this is over the cap numbers, $1.4 million for cap room. You don't have a first round pick. You don't have a third round pick. I don't think you have a fifth round pick either.
No, we traded that for Nick Vannett, who is a great addition. I'm sure a household name with all three of you.
So wide receiver needs, tight end needs, O-line good, getting old, quarterback good, getting old, and not a lot of cap room. So I'm going to start with you, Tony. What do you think it should be the offseason from the Steelers?
I mean, look, they got to focus on. They're going to focus on two things. One, re-signing Bud Dupree, which I think is actually a mistake. I think the idea that if they're going to franchise tag Bud Dupree, that's fine. If they're going to actually try to sign him to a long-term deal, knowing that they have to give T.J. Watt a long-term deal 2 years from now.
But wait, how do you franchise him? You don't have the cap.
They're going to cut a ton of people. Look up the salaries of guys like Mark Barron.
I got you, Barron and the tight end.
Vance could go. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, so that's $10 million right there.
They can clear up easily. I did this on the podcast a couple weeks back. They can easily clear, I believe, $20 million, which will get them. But it's just enough to franchise Bud, and then and then they'll have to do some contract restructures. They'll restructure Ben. They'll restructure Hayward. They'll restructure Tuitt. Listen,
they might have to cut Ben.
They restructure Ben like every.
They might have to cut Ben. That sounds like they may have to cut.
$33.5 million in cap. Hey. I think you cut Ben.
Tell me again how the Steelers are going to cut their future Hall of Fame quarterback. I'm interested in this.
You have to cut Ben.
Hey, look at what the Chargers just did with Rivers.
But the Steelers are. I mean, we can all agree, right? The Steelers' defense right now could be a championship-winning defense, right?
Yeah,
so the Steelers have this weird
that.
window all of a sudden again. They have to win right now. Their best chance to win right now is Ben's healthy.
The window part is overblown at this point. You don't have a number one receiver. You don't know what is.
We don't know. Look, hold on.
No,
let's just talk Juju for a second. No. Hold on. Let's just talk about Juju for a second. Can I just say my piece on Juju?
I'll let you.
No, you can't. You said James Watson had a breakout year. He had 700 yards.
You did have a breakout year.
Juju is a hell of a number two. As I explained before the season started, I said Juju is a hell of a number two. But you need a number one next to him. When
you can't say that because you don't know, right? Just like I don't know. I don't know what Juju is yet. Because
can I ask you a question? Yeah,
go ahead.
Where did Juju finish in receiving yards on the team last year?
Second.
Okay, and that was to a Hall of Famer and Antonio Brown.
Right.
He wasn't such a mess.
Right.
And then this year, where did he finish in receiving yards?
Third.
He finished third?
Yeah, but he was hurt the whole year. I mean,
I thought he finished second with his 500.
No. Deontay Johnson. You will know about Deontay Johnson in a couple years.
Deontay, I like Deontay. I saw him at training camp. I like Deontay from
very good.
That guy
Doesn't he? Okay, wait, hold on. Dropping all the jokes for a second. He does kind of weirdly remind you of Antonio Brown in the way he plays, right?
Put on more weight,
he definitely does. And you got to stop fumbling.
He needs to hang on to the ball a little bit more. But there's a lot of potential there.
He's good.
Here's
everybody
can be AB though. Like that's.
I just meant that in his the fluidness of his route running, the suddenness of his route running, and his body size. I mean, he weirdly looks exactly like Antonio Brown when I watch him play. I mean, obviously skill set wise, it's night and day, but he has some of those similarities. Now, Juju Smith-Schuster. Let me say my piece on Juju real quick, because I'm not even going to go full meme here. I'm gonna try and be realistic. I don't know what to think about Juju, and I don't know how anyone can make value judgments today, okay, when he had a duck and Mason Rudolph, the worst quarterback in the league, two of the worst quarterbacks in the league, throwing him the football. You cannot make a value judgment about a wide receiver like Juju, whether he's a number one or a number two, okay, based on Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges throwing him the ball. When he had Antonio Brown beside him and Ben Roethlisberger throwing the football, he was very, very good. Was he a number one? I don't know. Was he a number one in 2019? Again, I don't know.
So
it's an unanswered question. It's not a yes. It's not a no. It's I don't have enough information to make that judgment.
I have enough because Deontay Johnson.
Because you guys are all invested in Juju not being a number one because we got a Bengals fan, a Browns fan, a free agent, and a Ravens fan.
And Deontay Johnson had no problem catching passes from Duck as well as Mason Rudolph.
Here's my thing, Tony, though. Like, you're speaking to the wrong room right here. Do you realize that Ace has seen AJ Green and Tyler Boyd get 1,000 yards with Andy Dalton and Jeff Driscoll throwing the rock?
Okay. Thank you.
Have you
realized that I have been a Browns fan for my life? I watched Josh Gordon lead the league in receiving yards with a rotation of quarterbacks that was Brandon Weeden.
Weeden. None of these quarterbacks are
the best one was Brian Hoyer, Johnny Manziel on drugs. Everybody, like admittedly,
hot take.
No, he said it on a podcast. He was high on coke when he played some of these games. Yes, Ace. This man is wild. And then, what's the dude name? He used to play in Washington. He used to play in Tampa Bay. Black dude.
Josh Johnson?
No, not Josh Johnson. No.
Josh Freeman.
Josh freaking Freeman. That man used to give out quotes to the media the year he was throwing the ball to Josh Gordon when he led the league in receiving, saying, "Yo, I don't really want to play, but like I'm on the team."
Okay, so with this, I'm gonna move forward because we had a lot of Steelers talk, but the one thing I will say, if you are really a number one receiver, you make plays. Doesn't matter. Look, as you stated, both of you, Ace and Quincy, but also one of my favorite receivers in the whole league, DeAndre Hopkins. That dude had a load of crap before Watson got there, and the dude was still making plays. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about the Clowns, because the Clowns for me are a very interesting team. Before the season started, I said the reason why the Clowns are not going to succeed is the coaching. And that's what happened, right? Now, I will say I was shocked, and I know Quincy too, that they let go of the GM. Because Dorsey brought talent to that team. If Dorsey effed up something, was the coach. That is a problem that you can fix quicker. And he did. He brought talent in the quarterback position. There's talent in the receiving position. There's not enough talent, in my opinion, in the line, in the O-line. But the defense had talent throughout the defense. And there's $51 million in cap resources there for Dorsey plus a top 10 pick. I thought, well, the Browns obviously underachieved, but they had the potential to bounce back. Now with no GM, or I don't know if they hired a GM by now, but
they did.
Yeah, they just did.
Okay.
I should have turned my resume in because I'm 32 and know about football. So
obviously, how many Super Bowls have you won in Madden? I think that was the criteria.
They have an owner problem over there. And
you go to the franchise mode? I think that's all it takes.
So I want to let Quincy start and talking about the Browns. What do you think the offseason will look? What changes do they need to make to be a contender and all that?
All right, real quick to address the John Dorsey thing. I have learned more about that situation as it has gone on. And what that situation was a war between John Dorsey and football operations, which is him and Freddie Kitchens, in the entire analytics department. And this is not the fault of John Dorsey. This is not the fault of the analytics department. It's Jimmy Haslam's fault because he dumb hired two people to straighten out the organization. Now, me and Ace are cool. I like Ace. I would consider Ace a friend. You know, if me and Ace were hired to do the exact same job at the exact same place, we would not get along because we are doing jobs that contradict each other. He would be doing something that would be undoing my work. I would be doing something that would be undoing his work. So the entire structure was just faulty. Now, to the Haslam's credit, they have acknowledged that and decided to go in what many think is the wrong direction, which is the analytics direction. I'm willing to give it a shot and see what happens because at least, and this is where we're at as a franchise, it's a uniform ideology, and we have not had that in 10 years. So,
but isn't Paul? It's Paul DePodesta, right? That's running the analytics department.
Yeah,
and he does so part time, right? Doesn't he do it like in Arizona?
Okay, look,
Like, you know what I mean? Like, the guy spends most of his time watching, like, Friends reruns, and then it's like,
he spends 5 days a week in Cleveland. He just lives full time in San Diego, and like for what he needs to do, honestly, you just need to set up the structure. You don't need to be there every day. I wish the Haslams weren't there every day. Like, what's up, Ace?
Quincy, you're my guy, but this to me. Didn't we have this issue before with Sashi Brown and with Hugh Jackson? Wasn't there the analytics versus?
I'm gonna get to that.
Got you.
I'm gonna get to that. See, this time, what they didn't do, what they've been doing, right? The Browns have had this mentality. We got Paul DePodesta. He's the best analytics guy in sports. Okay, so we're gonna fuse him with a good football guy. Hugh Jackson was the first one. I don't know why I'm being so demonstrative with my hands. And then John Dorsey was the second one, right? Their mindset was if we get a really good football guy or a really good analytics guy is going to enhance his decision making. What they don't realize is that when they give him the same job, they're going to fight every time, which is happening. So instead,
football guys and analytics guys just don't get along. I mean, they just don't.
It's stupid that they don't get along because analytics literally exists to assist football decisions, but.
And the problem is you need to let your GM pick the analytics group, which is like what the Ravens did, right? So Harbaugh and
we have to have a coach that buys in too.
So there's different ways to do it. There's different ways to do it, right? A bunch of teams do it different ways. My thing is that, all right, you let the guy, the analytics guy that's going to run the team or whatever, you let him pick the coach. So they're not going to clash. That's been agreed upon. It's not some kind of like, hey, we'll see how it goes thing. It's agreed upon concept. This is what the deal is. You know what it is when you coming into it. They have not done that the last few hires. So maybe in the Browns, while they are dysfunctional from afar, if you look at the roster, you look at where they're at in their rebuild, they're in a good place. They have the talent that you need to accumulate, right? They don't need to go around and get a quarterback, in my opinion. They don't need to go around and get a star wide receiver, in my opinion. They don't need to get a cornerstone on offense and defense. They have those two in Myles Garrett and Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb. They don't need the hard parts. They literally just need to get the small parts right. They need to just get the right corner, get somebody who's going to be a veteran presence, get just a few right pieces in place so this team can click. It happens all the time in the NFL. Remember the Jacksonville Jaguars the year before they went to the AFC Championship. They had all the hype going into the year. They went 6-10, much like the Browns, because they just had a bunch of free agents. They didn't put the team together yet. And then the next year, they put more of a team together. Now, they put that team together under Blake Bortles, which was the fatal flaw of that build. But still, they were able to build a pretty damn good team that was able to challenge and almost make it to the Super Bowl. The Browns aren't far away. They need to make a couple. They need to make a couple picks. They need to get an offensive lineman. They need to get one good offensive lineman. They need to get a few things right, but they don't need to get the big things right. They don't. It's not crazy what they have to do. In past years, the Browns needed like 20 home runs in the draft. They don't need a home run. They just need a couple solid doubles and some good veteran signs. Like now, good teams do that all the time. Done. Be quiet. Done. All right.
Quarterback in Cleveland, maybe?
Nah, Baker's gonna be fine. Here's also what Baker's situation was last year, since you're gonna get me started on that. He had his offensive.
I like guys who throw 20 interceptions too.
Tony, imagine if you're the quarterback, Tony. All right. And your offensive coordinator is not communicating with the head coach, who is also calling the plays. So you have a dude calling a plays for an offense that the coordinator won't talk to him about.
No, listen, I'm not going to sit here and argue that the Browns aren't a train wreck from when
the team
absolutely.
When the franchise,
but that doesn't make Baker Mayfield a good quarterback.
Well, when it wasn't a train wreck, Tony, when it wasn't a train wreck, he was pretty damn good, wasn't he?
No, Baker Mayfield, his rookie year, Baker Mayfield, his rookie year, everyone looked at completion percentage and just said, wow, Baker's got a great completion percentage. He's going to be great. He also, if you go back to that year, would have led the league in interceptions if he had played 16 games. Okay, then he goes this year and he throws 20. Now, he only didn't lead the league in interceptions because thank you, Jameis Winston, going 30 and 30. Okay, but Baker Mayfield threw 21 interceptions. Okay, so this is a guy who has a big interception problem. Now you can blame that on coaching, fine, because yes, you had what's the coach's name? Freddie Kitchens there in his rookie year and in his second year. But Baker Mayfield has an interception problem that is not going away because Kevin Stefanski's there or because his offensive coordinator and his coach are talking to each other, okay?
Tony,
he's got an interception problem because he can't read his own defense.
Tony, though, here's the problem with your analysis. I'm going to do my Stephen A. Let me tell you why you're wrong, all right? If I stacked up a book for every quarterback that was a young quarterback that had an interception problem, do you know how high my face would be covered with books right now? Because quarterbacks have interception problems when they're young. Except
Lamar Jackson. Let's be fair.
Yeah, okay.
Lamar Jackson's got some other problems we'll talk about.
I ain't mean that. I ain't mean that, Sonny. You just butted in with that. I ain't mean that. But still.
When you got a supporting cast of Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry and Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, you should not be throwing 21 interceptions. I don't care who you are.
Still in his second year, though. Like, it don't matter.
This is a new NFL second year. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Did Carson Wentz throw 21 interceptions in his second year?
Carson Wentz wasn't healthy his second year.
I believe in his second year they went to the Super Bowl.
Am
I wrong on that, or was it his third year?
Was he playing in the Super Bowl, or was he in a hospital bed?
Okay. That's your argument. That's your argument that he got hurt in like week 16. He had a fantastic year. Listen, this is new NFL. You come in and you either good or you're out. That's the NFL. Patrick Mahomes, Jared Goff, Carson Wentz.
You're right. Tony, you're right. Tony, you're right. But I think you'd be lying to yourself if they offered you Baker Mayfield right now to the Steelers. You would take
him in a heartbeat. Love him to death. He was my QB1.
I'm about to say, like, come on,
love
I understand he throws a lot of interceptions, but
oh man,
he can grow out of the interceptions, and he might not ever.
He does have I legit think he has an interception problem.
Yeah, he might have an interception problem, but he still can be. You can still win games despite of that.
I wonder
as long as he doesn't lead the league in interceptions repeatedly, then that becomes an issue. If he's doing 30 for 30 like Jameis, he's basically canceling himself out. But if he throws 18 interceptions, but he throws for 42 touchdowns, I could care less about
this. 2020 is going to be a very telling year for him, right? I mean, the supporting cast is going to change. It's going to be very good. And he's either got to put up or shut up this year.
The franchise is on his back. But here's the thing that I get irritated.
I am worried.
People try to tell me Baker's a bust. It's like, oh, his whole first year doesn't matter, but this second year, it matters so much more. And it's like, chill. The man broke the rookie touchdown record. Did something only three Hall of Fame quarterbacks have only done. So, that's the company he's in with that accomplishment, and he did it in 14 games. That's significant. That's not something that happens every year. It ain't happened this year. So that is significant. He accomplished something. This year he was bad. That's 1-1. We'll see what this third year is, but you can't say he's a bust.
Okay, so let me say something about Baker, because I cannot be a hypocrite. I thought he was the best quarterback coming out of that draft. And I still, I think Lamar at this point has had a better first 2 years. No.
I thought you were going to say he's still the best.
No, what I was going to say
having an out-of-body experience.
No. What I was going to say is he's still good. We cannot say that he's a bad quarterback. The problem that I have is when you have a young quarterback, and this is something that the Bengals are going to run into, in my opinion. And Ace knows that I love Jonah. Jonah Williams. Yeah, Jonah Williams. Yeah. From Alabama from last year. But line for a young quarterback is key. Now, the Steelers has a hell of a line. The Ravens have a pretty good O-line as well. In the case of the Browns and Bengals, that's not their case. And that's problematic for a guy like Baker, that not only stature is not high, right? One of the things the Saints do is they put a good O-line on Breeze, right? Because protection is key. Now, Breeze is a veteran.
And he gets rid of the ball quick.
Yeah, he does.
He
does. And I think Baker's this is also a problem with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson holds that ball for an eternity. But that's a different topic. My point is that doesn't help Baker, right? The picks, when you're getting pressure, sometimes now you're trying to throw, you're trying to make a play, that leads to interceptions. Now, I do agree with something that Tony said. This is the year to be telling. This is a telling year for Baker. If they keep OBJ, Landry, and Chubb together, Njoku's coming back this year, and the hope is, I'm assuming, Quincy, you guys want to draft a left tackle, probably sign one of the guards in free agency, bolster that O-line. If all of those things happen and Baker has another 50-50 year, meaning on touchdown interception ratio is 1-to-1, then now, in my opinion, now I'm in the Tony camp. Then okay, that there's a problem here.
Yeah.
But I'm not there yet. At least I'm not there yet.
And like, you know, like honestly, if he has a bad year this year, his future is in question. The guy who drafted him number 1 is not in that building anymore. Nothing is guaranteed for Baker Mayfield, and he knows that, and he has no excuses to be terrible. I don't like offensive lines. I respect offensive lines. I think they're very important, but like I think we don't value the amount of effort it takes for the whole team to make an offensive line look good. I mean, it takes good chip blocks, good tight ends, the quarterback getting rid of the ball quickly.
I agree with all that.
You know, like that all matters, and offensive lines can go from bad to good like that. Like the Browns went from the worst offensive line in 2018 to the best offensive line in the second half of 2018 per DVOA. So if we look at that and say that's the Browns' biggest problem, offensive line, traditionally that's been a fixable problem. It's been a reachable problem. If that's fixed and Baker's still not performing and producing what he should, then we can have a real conversation about the future of Baker Mayfield. But as of right now, like incomplete. There's nothing there to talk about. Like he's clearly not at the level that Lamar Jackson is, but Lamar Jackson's not even in this conversation when it comes to talking about quarterbacks that were drafted in his draft class. And that's a credit to his success this season.
Okay, so last point AJC made for the Browns. He has a winning formula for you guys. And again, guys, I apologize because I'm not checking all the comments. The comments are coming quick. But this is what he has to say for you. If they want to win, the Browns need to move the ball.
One thing I'll say is in terms of in response to the Baker Mayfield stuff, I drafted Baker Mayfield on my fantasy team, so that tells you how high I was on him, and I am very upset with that man right now. But what I will say is, I think it's a sophomore slump. I mean, we've seen this from quarterbacks in the past. I think another thing, I don't know if it was Quincy that said this, but I think someone put the nail on the head or knocked the nail on the head when they said that they gave him the keys to the kingdom way too early. You know, they got a taste of him last year, and he was the real decision why they actually hired Freddie Kitchens in the first place. And we all thought that Freddie Kitchens was not qualified, wasn't ready to deal with the locker room with OBJ and people like that. But I also think another big factor that a lot of people didn't account for is, yes, he had OBJ, but, you know, they barely played with each other in the preseason. He didn't play. Did OBJ even play in the preseason? I don't think
him and Jarvis both didn't play. He didn't have any of his starters.
Yeah, it's similar being down here in Florida. It's similar to when I watched Jameis Winston with Deshaun Jackson. They had like zero chemistry. Just because you get a big name person and bring him in and put him with somebody, it doesn't mean that they're going to have chemistry. So I think that was also a major factor. I think you guys are right. I think the jury is still out on him until next year. Like if he struggles next year, I think that's an issue. But one thing about Baker Mayfield is I think that he's a gunslinging quarterback, and he's always going to be a guy that's either going to be Brett Favre, where he's going to have an amazing game, or he's going to have a game where he throws multiple interceptions. I just don't think you get anything in between that. And he could be a hell of a quarterback, which I think he still is, or he could be a guy that, you know, throws turnovers. But I think that one disservice that Cleveland is doing to him is causing a lot of chaos. And I was huge on the Browns because them hiring John Dorsey, I felt like that was a competent move. I didn't agree with the hiring of Freddie Kitchens. I feel like if they would have hired the guy that ended up going to Tampa, Arians, who said that he wanted to coach you guys, I felt like that would have been a better move. But to see them, you know, go and fire the GM and then turn around and fire Freddie Kitchens, which we all saw that coming, that should have happened. But to hire Kevin Stefanski is just like, you just got kind of Freddie Kitchens 2.0, because this is another guy that, you know, OBJ is not going to respect this guy. I don't care what anybody says. He's a disciplinarian and all of this. He has no track record as a head coach. So you're really like taking a Band-Aid off and covering it with the same thing. So that's the only issue I had there. So I hope that this works. I hope that, you know, this doesn't work to the detriment of Baker Mayfield. The one thing that I will say is the Browns are a very different franchise than the Bengals in terms of when it comes to spending money. So maybe for you guys, I think an offensive line can be fixed within one season. For the Bengals, this is like year 4 for us. I'm trying to fix this offensive line, and it still has continued to be a problem. And that's what happens when you miss on draft picks and you don't spend money in free agency. But that leads to me talking about what the Bengals can do.
Yes. Before you start, let me say one quick comment, because you said that you drafted Baker, and that was could be worse. Mm-hmm. Tony drafted Moncrief, so
I did.
He got Moncrief thinking he was like,
listen, I got that sneaky
pick. Tony, I'm gonna give you a break. What round did you pick on that?
That should have been
late. It was late. It was very late. It was like round I don't know, 12.
We've all had those moments as fans. I remember. I thought Isaiah Crowell was going to lead the league in rushing. That didn't turn out.
Anyway, Ace, tell me, Bengals, what are they going to do?
Bengals, I think there's a lot of ways that they're going to go this offseason. I think the number one thing is that they're either going to trade or cut Andy Dalton. Makes no sense to keep him. I think that they trade him, and I say that because they're going to do right by him. They do respect Andy Dalton. I think I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Brady, if they can't come to an agreement, it would not shock me at all to see the Bengals ship him to New England. They've done that with several of our old players. You look at Corey Dillon, you look at Chad Johnson. It's one thing that our owner tries to do is he tries to send players that he likes to a team that has a chance to win a championship. So wherever we do trade Andy Dalton, it probably will be more about giving him a chance to actually win versus the draft pick. AJ Green, they're going to keep AJ Green. AJ Green wants to stay there. At minimum, they're going to franchise him. I really hope they don't, because that's really going to be disrespectful to him, considering all that he's done for this team, the dysfunction that he's put up with our ownership. I mean, this guy deserves to retire big. So I think at minimum, he's going to get franchised. He's not going to go anywhere. I think that they'll at least try to do a 2 or 3 year deal with him if they can. But it's all going to hinge on whenever they move on from Andy Dalton. Another guy to keep your eye on is Drake Kirkpatrick. He's another guy that is not he has a high cap number. I believe it's like 13 or 14 million. But a lot of that isn't dead money. So a lot of people expect him to possibly get cut and moved on from. Cordy Glenn, it was really just a super dysfunctional year for him. Some people feel like he faked an injury during preseason. He didn't show up until week 12. There were guys on the team, I won't say their names, but there were guys on the team that wanted him going. A lot of people expected him to be traded. He was one of the only few names that actually was shopped before the trade deadline. But he was actually benched for Tony's guy that we actually claimed from the Steelers, Fred Johnson. So just think about that. He was benched for Fred Johnson. So he's pretty much, the writing is on the wall. Cordy Glenn is pretty much out of here. You save about $8 million.
9.5 you save if you cut him.
Yeah, 9.5 million. So it's at a point where I've done the math before the Bengals, the salary cap even rises. The Bengals could easily have over 100 million in cap space if they get rid of some of these guys here. But I think that they trade Dalton. I think that you definitely see them attack this offensive line. I think they have no room for excuses not to spend money in free agency, either on a linebacker or on an offensive lineman. I think that they're going to keep Jonah Williams at the left tackle position. I think that they'll look at the left guard position because that's really a big hole. Billy Price is a bust. I'm not afraid to say that. I've never been huge on Billy Price just because I like Ohio State. I'm going to keep it 100. Billy Price is a bust right now. He got replaced by Michael Jordan last year. Left guard is really a big hole. Right tackle it's decent. It's like maybe Fred Johnson may be there. Maybe he may not. They might decide to cut Bobby Hart to save some of that cap space as well. But one thing I will say is that the Bengals last year, the line was horrible, but they didn't have Jonah Williams for an entire season, and they didn't have Cordy Glenn, who was obviously their second best lineman, until like week 12. So the offensive line that they had out there, it was at one point we had like a guard lining up at left tackle. So long story short, I think that there will be a lot of moves from them. I think you'll see them sign a linebacker. I think you see them draft Joe Burrow. I don't think that that's going to be a surprise. There's no way. It doesn't make sense to take Chase Young because Carlos Dunlap really caught on in the last half of the season and really ended up with 10 sacks. This was a guy that had like 2 sacks to start the first half of the season and really just went on a tear at the end. And Carl Lawson came back, and Sam Hubbard, who I talked about early on, also finished with 8 sacks. So it just doesn't make sense for them to do that. So for me, I think they start with Joe Burrow and they move on from there.
Yeah, I'm high on the Bengals with you, man. Like, honestly,
Same, yeah.
I sent out the tweet and it kind of did the rounds a little bit. Shout out to my Twitter. But I put out, I was like, Joe Burrow passing to Tyler Boyd, AJ Green, Alden Tate, and John Ross. That's gonna be a problem. Like, I know John Ross didn't have a breakout year this year, even though you can say
but if he's your third,
the raw speed that John Ross has and the accuracy that Joe Burrow has, if they can, like, it doesn't take a genius to scheme it up. It just takes not being Freddie Kitchens to scheme that up, correct?
It also takes Andy Dalton not throwing to John Ross, which was a horrible combination anyway, because he lacks arm strength and John Ross is like a speed demon. So that just was not a good combination there.
Then you got a guy you can throw it up to, and AJ Green and Alden Tate, both excellent options in the red zone. And then you have Tyler Boyd, who is Mr. Reliable in those kind of like slot situations. And then you also have Joe Mixon in the backfield, who's also a pretty good receiver coming out of there. Jonah Williams is going to
contract year. So
I was going to say, how many years does Mixon have left?
No, this is contract year, right? For Mixon.
Oh yeah, Mixon.
Yeah, but they can do a 5th-year option on him, right?
No.
He's second year. So Mixon, I think you see AJ Green get done. I think you see Mixon get done this offseason, and I think you may see William Jackson III get extended this offseason if I were a betting man. You also have Tyler Eifert as well, who I love the way one of the biggest things or one of the biggest positives was this was the first season, I think, since 2015, where actually I think even before that Tyler Eifert has played all 16 games, and I loved how Zach Taylor used him because he did not use him as a blocker. He had him on a snap count the whole season. And Tyler Eifert is also still another option that we have there as well.
And don't forget about Drew Sample,
Oh, my God. Don't remind me of Drew Sample.
It's going to be interesting watching the Bengals this year.
It is.
It seems like a table setting year for the Bengals, right? Like, get your pieces in order. The window is not this year, right? Burrow in his rookie year is not going to win a title. But if you can get the offensive line together, right? If you can figure that out, if Burrow is a hit, and he like you talked about Quincy, he's going to have some weapons there for sure. I'm going to be interested to watch if the Bengals try to stretch this team maybe a little too thin, like you talked about bringing AJ Green back. Not William Jackson, Dre Kirkpatrick, right? Do they try to stretch those guys for another 2 to 3 years? Or do they say, hey, you know what? Let those guys go. We'll bring in a new class and look for that window that's like 2 years from now and then extend that out to like year 7, right?
Oh, Dre can go. Dre is not good. It's like an outside perception that Dre Kirkpatrick is actually good. He is not. He is horrible. Yeah. Any one of you guys, if you want him, you can have him. I will gift wrap Dre Kirkpatrick.
I noticed he didn't play the second Browns game as much as he played in the first one because
Dre is trash. Like whenever they immediately throw to Dre.
But
so I will say the quick thing. I think it is hinged with the O-line. If the O-line gets significantly better, I expect Joe Burrow to look good because he will have weapons, right? If the other side, the O-line is not great, I think Burrow will have not a bad year, but an average year. Because pressure is the worst thing that can happen to a quarterback, especially a young quarterback that the game is going fast for him. Now you're going to add pressure on a constant basis. It's not a recipe for success. I think the Bengals should go all in on getting maybe Sheriff, the guard from Washington.
Yep.
Or the guard from New England.
Or even Jack Conklin or, the kid from New England as well. I literally know every single free agent offensive lineman, the top ones that are coming out.
But I think the point is like the sense of urgency needs to be with every team here in the AFC North. Like if you're the Steelers, like one of the things I would be concerned about with the Steelers, and I'm sorry I keep going back to them, but like not having a solution at quarterback and hoping on a 38-year-old Big Ben, you could fall through the bottom of this division real quick with the young Heisman Trophy quarterbacks that are going to be in here if they play to their potential. And Lamar's already played to a great deal of his potential. Who knows how much further he can go? But the Ravens are trending up. You know, the Bengals are trending up because they won 2 games last year. They can only trend up. And then it's the
here's the counterpoint to that, right? We saw that what you're talking about, right? No Ben, bad quarterback play. That was 2019. They went 8-8 that year. So, you know, yes, I agree with you. The future of this team is bad without a quarterback. And they're going all in on Ben, which means they're not going to draft a quarterback this year. They're probably not going to draft a quarterback next year. Okay, so this team is going to live and die on the next 3 years of Ben Roethlisberger. Then they're going to try and find a quarterback and move on from that. That is their window. It could easily bottom out for them, but I don't know that bottoming out is going to look like 2-14 and what you guys think it's going to. Bottoming out for this team is like 7-9 because this was a bottom out year and it was 8-8.
Yeah, but Tony, you also have to factor.
I think that's because of Tomlin. If Tomlin wasn't there,
Tomlin's not going anywhere.
Well, it's also. You had the benefit of playing 2 quarterbacks that nobody had tape on, and they were able to get a couple like good games out of it. And then the league kind of caught up on them, and then we saw what happened. Like Duck Hodges got figured out in like 4 games, and then Mason Rudolph seemed to have gotten figured out. So like those dudes were able to get you a couple of wins that they will not get you next year if they have to play.
But they were. I mean, look, I love Duck, and I will defend Duck to my dying breath. But he had one good game. Even the game he came in like ace. That game he played against the Bengals, right? He had one good play to James Washington. He was absolute trash after that. I mean, terrible. And they somehow still won that game.
Man. Because Ryan Finley was that quarterback.
Oh God, Ryan Finley.
Bad. Oh my God.
Again. Look, I know you got the faith in Big Ben, but he's 38 and
Hall of Fame, baby.
Peyton Manning fell off a cliff when he was 39.
But he had a great defense, and all they needed was noodle arm Peyton Manning to make 2 or 3 throws a game. I watched it because remember they beat the Steelers the year they won the Super Bowl, so I watched that team win in the playoffs. I saw how they won. If that's all this team gets from Ben, look, real talk on what's going to be the problem with Ben.
Or Demaryius Thomas on your offense.
Stop! Don't. You're going to say Tebow, and I'm going to leave the podcast.
I'm not saying Tebow. Oh no, we're not about to go there. I'm just saying, like, let's be real. Like Tom Brady's 42 and he's starting to fall off the cliff, but 38. Anything you get from Big Ben after this, it's really bonus. You should be using it as insurance. The relying on this.
The question with Ben.
To go 2 more, it's disaster waiting to happen, especially with what the rest of the division is doing.
You guys will be.
They don't have another option though. What is option 2? Right?
Draft the quarterback.
Draft him in the second round. Who cares? Who we draft in the second round that you're starting that's going to help this team win a Super Bowl? There's not a single person in this draft.
Develop somebody to be better than Mason.
Develop them when all of a sudden this defense, all of a sudden the contracts come due for guys like T.J. Watt and Minka Fitzpatrick and Hayden and Nelson have left the team. This team has a window right now.
I don't think they have a window. So this is the problem that I see with the Steelers. Look, this is the problem that I see with the Steelers, and I'm going to segue to the Ravens with this. The Steelers have no draft picks, no cap room, a old injured quarterback coming back, no good weapons on the offensive side, not reliable weapons on the offensive side.
They got a breakout player in James Washington. They got a great rookie, and they got a number 1 receiver in Juju Smith-Schuster.
So my expectation for the Steelers is...
I mean, those are just facts.
My expectation for the Steelers are just to start trending down unless somehow they find a quarterback in the second round and they can move forward. Now, let me move to my Ravens. Okay, so I think the Ravens are in a good position for 2020. Obviously, Lamar Jackson is cheap, so we're in the window that Tony is talking about. We are actually in that window. This is how the window looks. You see? So, probable because it's not announced yet. MVP of the league, Lamar Jackson. I won a couple of bets with that one. So here's where the Ravens need to, work. Obviously, if Marshall Yanda retires, then we need a right guard. He said that he's gonna, set in the next couple of weeks. Also, receivers. I think we need at least one more good receiver, non-dominant receiver. Outside guy, because I think the tight ends and Willie Snead work that middle of the field. The running game, I think, is good. Obviously, not only with Lamar Jackson, Ingram did his thing, Gus Edwards did his thing. Justice Hill, the rookie, he had his moments, but as a third string running back, can't ask for that enough. I think our biggest needs are on the defensive side. Linebacker for us, especially inside linebacker, is a concern for me. LJ Ford did his thing. It's as a inside linebacker number 2. The weak side linebacker is fine, but that Mike guy ended up being the strong safety, which was Chuck Clark. Tony Jefferson, a guy that I love as a Raven. I think he's gonna get cut because Chuck Clark did a hell of a job. But I think we need a dominant linebacker over there. Could be Corey Littleton, maybe. If not, then a guy that I like is the guy from Oklahoma, Kenneth Murray. Also, we need to figure out pass rushers. Judon's a free agent. I think they're going to try to keep him as much as they can. And after that, you have enough money to sign one. How the cap is looking, you have like 20 mil. If we sign Judon, you have like 20 mils after that, based on the contract that I think he might get. One player, I think the Ravens are probably going to target a guy like Chris Jones from KC. I think that's the guy that they will like. Somebody that will add to the interior D-line. They will lose a guy like Pierce, the nose tackle. They drafted Mack last year. I think that will be their nose tackle going forward. They might keep Ace Boy, Pecco, as the backup.
That is not my
nose
boy.
Tackle. I would say Peck. I think
Pecco is trash.
So what I would say, Pecco for us did well, unlimited snaps. So I think they might bring it as a rotation, limited snaps again for vet minimum. Okay, so main thing for us, we need to figure out how to advance in the pass rushing side. Secondary for us is pretty good, right? We have the safety, we have the corners. I think we're gonna try to bring Jimmy Smith. I think Carr will be cut. Linebacker and another rusher is the main thing for us.
That's going to suck for us because we need a linebacker bad. So when you were talking about Corey Littleton, I was like, get off of my guy. But you guys would definitely actually spend the money while Mike Brown would just think about it.
I could probably get Joe Schobert from the Browns, who's probably not going to resign.
I will take him. I will take him. Like when Nick Vigil was your starting linebacker, I would take anybody.
Yeah, we're going to get rid of him, Christian Kirksey. There's going to be a linebacker surplus. Y'all probably going to take one of them. It would make a lot of sense.
So you don't like, why you don't like Schobert?
I like Schobert. I just don't think a player like Schobert is that much like worth of contract, honestly. Like he gets a lot of tackles and he's a solid player and he's like he's a good linebacker. But I don't think good linebackers are that rare. I think you can find them in the third round a lot of times if you know what you're looking for. And the one thing, right?
How much is he going to get paid? Is he going to get paid a lot?
No, Schobert, no. Middleton, maybe.
Maybe $8 million, like maybe.
That's probably still too much.
Yeah, still wouldn't do it though. Like especially since
He's
they drafted.
good though. He is good.
And the Browns drafted 2 linebackers last year. You know what I mean? So it wouldn't make. Yeah, Mac Wilson, and they got Sione Takitaki in the wings. Now again, that was a whole nother GM, so we can see what that situation.
But Wilson was actually decently good throughout the year, right?
Oh, Mac Wilson's gonna be a dude.
Yeah.
He's a playmaker.
I wanted Mac Wilson.
He's freakishly athletic. And with Joe Schobert, like he's serviceable, he's very good, but he's not gonna make a difference in a win or loss. He's gonna complement a good defense. So, I know a lot of people are high on Joe Schobert. Twitter wants the Browns to re-sign him like now, but they're not gonna do it. I don't think they should. It's not worth it. And they should save that money because they're going to have to pay Myles Garrett $1 gazillion to make that. Because we saw what that defense was without Myles Garrett, quite frankly. Ace, you played the Browns when they had Myles Garrett, and it was a completely different team when they did not have Myles Garrett. It was night and day.
How did we not talk about the brawl? Like out of all of those exchanges,
that's right.
Tony had. We did not talk about the brawl.
Right. I even forgot. Now, over or under Garrett getting suspended 3 games next year?
He's back week 1 with this suspension.
He's back week 1.
I think he's back
week 1. Okay.
Yeah, they did this suspension so that they could bring him back week 1. Indefinite. No, it's the rest of the season, not indefinite. Calm down, NFL.
The rest of the season,
Okay.
They just had to do something because everybody was on TV talking about Mason Rudolph could have died. Poor Mason Rudolph. Shout out to him. Guess he could have died or whatever, but
he was just trying to put Mason's helmet back on, right? He was just swinging it so that Mason would put his helmet back on. Hey, Mason,
I think did the Browns
Mason learned an important lesson.
Did the Browns and Steelers overtake the Bengals and Steelers in terms of the dirty games between the two teams?
Foolishness, yes, this is about to happen.
By the way,
It's happening.
did you guys see Marquise Pouncey got he's nominated from the Steelers for Walter Payton Man of the Year?
He kicked the man in the head. I love when he went back down. I blacked out. I just blacked out. Miles Garrett was like, I'm blacked out. Everybody blacked out.
Hold on.
Nobody
who you want is a friend with you.
Mason Rudolph, Miles Garrett, and Marquise Pouncey all blacked out. That's all what they said. We all blacked out. Nobody was conscious. Is this something the NFL should be concerned about when it comes to CTE?
Marquise Pouncey is Walter Payton Man of the Year. Okay, there's no one who you want by your side in any situation than Marquise Pouncey.
No, I agree with that.
I would rather have Miles Garrett.
Sam Reed said that they gave Pittsburgh an extra punishment by making Mason Rudolph play more.
Yes, that was the greatest tweet. Someone tweeted after the game. They said the NFL gave the Steelers the stiffest possible punishment by suspending Mason Rudolph for 0 games.
Yeah, when they did suspend Mason Rudolph, I could just hear Tony somewhere going.
Yeah. Well, luckily he got benched, 3 quarters later. But yeah, it was awful.
Yeah, but I got super off track. But yeah, Myles Garrett, good man, had a bad moment. Everybody's gonna move past it. And you know what? Let's be real. Mason Rudolph learned a good lesson.
Is that the craziest sports NFL moment you can remember though? I
saw Ron Artest kick a man in the face.
Okay, football. Because yes, Ron Artest is number 1 for me.
Yes.
Are we talking about major American moments? Because
major American moments.
It's local level.
No, he's talking about football moments.
Football in the NFL, right? Obviously, Ron Artest in sports is crazy. The Conor McGregor, that whole thing when the cage, people are jumping in the cage, fighting and brawling in the crowd. That was crazy too. But those are other sports. In football, this is the craziest thing that's ever happened on the field, right?
Nah, not the craziest thing that's ever happened.
I think so. Because the game was over.
The only thing I can think of was there was that. There was also the Cortland Finnegan and Andre Johnson fight.
That's number 2. Yeah.
There was the Jalen Ramsey and AJ Green fight. I don't think it was as crazy as that.
I need to go back and watch some 70s NFL. Y'all ever seen Turkey Jones almost murder Terry Bradshaw on the football field? Go Google that real quick. That Myles Garrett did not do that. And that he almost paralyzed.
What was the thing where wasn't it Albert Hainsworth where he stomped on the guy's head?
Yeah. But see, the stomp you couldn't see in real time. They had to show it afterwards.
Yeah,
that's true.
This was like, oh my God, what's happening?
Somebody in the balls. We've had some bad situations on the football field, like in the NFL, in college. Especially, I've seen somebody get stabbed in a high school game before. I don't know. Maybe I'm desensitized to this.
Okay.
All right.
It wasn't that bad compared to what I've seen.
That escalated quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been in games where we had to get on the ground. The rival team won, and people start shooting.
Yeah, swinging the helmet don't seem that bad anymore.
Yeah, one of my kids was pregnant, so she couldn't get on the ground, so she was panicking. She was like, bro, it was funny but tragic at the same time. Good thing nobody got shot though.
Okay, that's good.
Now they got to play it Saturday at 2:00.
Okay, as we're tailing this stream out, a couple of things. Don't forget to hit the like button. All the channels for my guys here are down in the description below. There's a video coming tomorrow. It's gonna be the deep dive defensive roster. Also, it's going to be a giveaway video, so go ahead, check that video coming out tomorrow. Now, moving on. Last thing, Super Bowl. Let's talk about Super Bowl.
Wait, Sonny, can we talk about the Ravens? Because you kind of just talked about the Ravens and we kind of glossed over.
Nobody rebutted me.
We kind of need to talk about.
Obviously, it's the perfect team.
One and done.
Talk about the Ravens. They're going to be good next year. All right, yeah.
Ryan
well, okay, Sonny, what's your biggest fear about the 2020 season for the Ravens?
We play them. I want to come back with a vengeance against them. My biggest fear currently right now is pass rusher, right? We cannot generate a pass rush.
Did we not talk about that on the
first came around
episode?
You know what?
That's growth.
Yeah.
That's growth.
Yeah. So last year we were able to generate a pass rush to blitzing, and we currently have a hell of a secondary. If we can generate pass rush without blitzing, it's over because our secondary right now was going man to man. No, look, our secondary was going man to man because we were blitzing 50-something% of the time. If we can generate pass rush without blitzing, so our secondary now can still ball out, right? We can do man to man, and then we can have linebackers just playing zone and safeties also playing their positions. Right now, we're bringing linebackers. Sometimes we're bringing safeties. So if we can generate a pass rush, consistent pass rush, like what the Browns had when Garrett was there, and I think the Bengals have had good pass rushers throughout the last couple of years, and the Steelers. We are currently the worst pass rushing team in the division. If we can have that consistently, we're solid. That is our biggest deficiency, no doubt.
So offensively, you're not worried about anything offensively what happened in these last 2 years. You're not worried about the offense.
Is he going to go with getting figured out? Is that what we're going here, Tom?
Yeah. No. They're not figured out. They're not figured out. Well, you're not worried about anything offensively.
Yeah. But offensively, this team was one of the top 2 on offense in the whole year. What would I be worried?
Yes, in the regular season, and by the way, in the Pro Bowl too. So in games that don't really matter, Lamar Jackson is great.
No, wait. Regular season matters. And the playoffs?
Yes, that's right. When the spotlight was on him, well, then he shrunk, which we've seen 3 times now, actually.
No.
The only thing I say is I just want to see another pass catcher in Baltimore. I like what you guys did with Hollywood Brown. I think if you guys get another solid receiver there, I think you'll be fine.
Can we talk about Lamar Jackson's body language during that game, though? Can we talk about it? Because it was bad. I mean, it was
against Tennessee.
Against Tennessee.
Hold on, time out.
He was frustrated.
Can we talk about his body language? Because he kind of quit at some points in that game.
What?
It looked like. Oh,
okay,
yeah.
Let me bring
he was listen, he got that kind of frustrated. Look, you know this because you watch Baker Mayfield on a week-to-week basis. This guy quits in the middle of every freaking game. No. Lamar Jackson in this game had that kind of, oh, my God, here we go again. And he had against the Chargers. Then he had it against the Titans. And you have two performances clearly better year over year, but the exact same result, which is that Lamar Jackson turned the ball over too many times, and his team.
The young LeBron argument. Are you Skip Bayless?
I'm going full young LeBron. Yes. You don't understand. I'm a guy, who's sitting here hoping that a 38-year-old quarterback coming off of elbow surgery, is going to help lead my team to a Super Bowl. So yes, I'm going to commit to anything.
Body language?
Anything. Yeah, I'm going body language. That's the only thing. These Steelers have very little to cling to, okay? This is where I'm going. You're not worried about Lamar Jackson and his body language in these 2 playoff games? Because from where I'm sitting, Lamar Jackson comes up small in the biggest moments of his career twice now, and in a game here where they were supposed to win, they were supposed to come out and dominate early, and instead early in that game they could not move the football, then the Titans got up, and what happens to Lamar Jackson? Shrink.
Okay, so I found the mute mic button. Okay, I might use this soon. Okay, so Lamar Jackson, was he frustrated in the game? Hell yeah, he was frustrated. He's a young quarterback. He did throw 2 picks. And he fumbled. Lamar Jackson also threw for 365 yards and ran for 143. Dude didn't
Yards don't matter. Yards don't matter.
No,
Yards don't equal points.
Dude, I already muted him. Dude didn't quit. You can tell whatever about Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has the heart of a killer. Dude is a workaholic. The dude is always looking to be better. That he had his best game in the playoffs? No, he didn't. So if you want to have the argument that he struggled in the playoff, he did struggle in the playoff. But don't be telling me that he quit. Hell no, he didn't quit.
Hold on. Is that Sonny? Is that you talking, or is that your T-shirt talking? I can't tell right now.
The king of the North.
LJ is my boy, but I will have to say now I did defend your guy because you know what I heard from a lot of Bengals fans that, I was kind of letting them eat a lot of crow for us not drafting Lamar Jackson. What I heard from a lot of Bengals fans is that they compared Lamar Jackson in the playoffs to Andy Dalton. I personally think that that's ridiculous because he has actually thrown more than 1 touchdown in the playoffs. But
that's that bad.
And it's like 1 touchdown and 6 interceptions, bro. It's bad. He's had games where he's thrown for like 127 yards. Full games too, not like full games. But I think that this narrative, I think people want to jump on Lamar so bad that if he loses next year in the playoffs, they're gonna cling to that narrative. So I just hope that gets better for him. But I was hoping that he rose to the occasion, but I wasn't surprised that the Titans beat you guys because it was like you guys looking in the mirror. It's a team that runs the ball. It's a team that tries to control the time of possession through running the ball. Derrick Henry, a team with a good defense. I remember telling a Ravens fan, I was like, if there was a team that was built to beat the Ravens in the playoffs, this is the team. And once that happened, I felt like Lamar, I thought he was going to go to another level, but he didn't. So I love the MVP season. He definitely is the MVP. He definitely, in my opinion, right now as it stands, is the best quarterback in the division that everyone has to figure out. But I think if he doesn't get that playoff hump off of his back next year, it's going to start to become a narrative.
Right.
Okay.
The same thing with Baker. Right? Baker throws too many interceptions. Lamar's got to come up big in big moments.
Problem with that game was we went away from our game plan. The running backs rushed for 9 times, and we're talking about a game that got out of hand late in the third. 9 times. How we were doing the read option was changed for the game. The Titans basically said, "This is what we're gonna do good, and we're just gonna do it." And we, for some reason, our coaching said, "Let's trick them because they have us figure it out," and that was the worst thing we can do. Go ahead, Quincy.
All right. So now I'm biased here. All right, because I've been anti-Lamar at some points in the season. I've been
He's a free agent. He cheers for no one.
Yeah, I'm just for the love of the game, baby. All right. So Lamar Jackson, the question of his body language, or if he quit, or if he's that kind of player, I think we've seen him in the clutch moments during the season and in tight game situations. That's not who he is. Now. To the part where he's had issues with certain elements of his game, that does need to be talked about, because what happened in Tennessee, well, not in Tennessee, but against Tennessee, looked a lot like week 4. When the team's able to jump out on the Ravens and kind of force them out of their comfort zone and get a couple scores up on them, they have not been so great in that area. Because if you look at the offense, and even it's something as silly as watching the Pro Bowl, you can see where Lamar's tendencies are. I don't think it matters if you have another great wide receiver out there. Lamar wants to hit his tight ends. He did it all Pro Bowl if you watch it. That's what he likes to do. That's his comfort zone. And that's what he's really good at. So I don't think he's ever going to throw a bunch of passes to the wide receiver, no matter who it is, even if you trade it for AJ Green. All right, so Lamar has some holes in his game. Everybody has holes in their game. The thing is with Lamar is that he's so explosive on so many other fronts is that it makes him very hard to get up 14 or 20 points on him. That's why they can go on such long win streaks that they did this season. But when you can, I've been saying all season, the blueprint to beat the Patriots, right? I mean, not the blueprint to beat the Ravens is just keep up with them and don't try to figure out the offense, right? Don't try to shut down the run. You got to keep points with them and hope they turn the ball over once or twice and then get a differential from there and then make them play from behind, because Lamar isn't as good when he needs to make those chunks and go for wide receivers down the field. And this is something I said since training camp. That's not where his mechanics make him good at throwing the ball. But in the seams, he's excellent. He's always going to be excellent.
So my biggest problem with the statement, again, he didn't have his best game. My problem is for you to say that he quit.
No, he definitely didn't quit.
No. Was he frustrated?
Obviously, yes. Obviously, that was a troll. But what I mean to say is he came up small in big moments, right? We talk about him going down early. Why can't Lamar Jackson, who led the best offense, the best offenses by analytics, hold on, one of the best analytically offenses of all time, why can't that team come back when they're down?
It's
a strange one, right? It's a strange one.
Football on NBC against the Patriots, is that not a big moment?
What do you mean? They weren't down in that game. They went up early. And by the way,
you're saying he strikes in a big moment, but there has been big moments.
Big playoffs. Right? Now, okay, Adam points this out in chat. He says, remember Peyton Manning went 0-3 in his first 3 playoff games. And look, this is not me saying that Lamar Jackson can never be a good playoff quarterback, right? It's the same as when we were talking with Quincy earlier about Baker Mayfield and his interception issues. We have to point this out, though. Lamar Jackson in these big moments has come up as small as possible. And last year it was fine because they were out of nowhere and whatever. Lamar had a bad game in the playoffs. They come back this year. Now they have this elite offense that cannot be stopped. No one can figure this offense out. The best first quarter offense, I believe, in the history of the National Football League. But when that stopped, when the record stopped on that, they weren't the best first quarter offense in that game against the Titans. Everything fell apart for that team. They finished the game. The best offense in the league finishes the game with 12 points. Now, can we point out the fact that Lamar wasn't good in the game either? You can point out his stats and say, well, he had 120 yards rushing. He had 350 yards passing. All of that is true. And what also is true is that offense only put up 12 points.
I agree with you. My biggest problem for that game is we went away from we did.
Marcus, Big Ben won a Super Bowl in year 2. So
my big problem was that this team ran 9 total times for the whole game on the running back side. The running backs have 9 rushing in the first quarter at least. And they had it through the whole game. This game wasn't out of hand until the third quarter.
Well, they were down 14-0 to start the second quarter, though.
Okay, but
that's not over. But coaches do this where they abandon the run, they go to the pass.
There's no panic. Look, end of the half is down 14-6, and we had the ball, right? There's no at that point. You're thinking you score a touchdown, you're down by a point. So again, my biggest problem was game plan. We went away from it. I thought the coaches tried to get too cute. I'm not quite sure why, but independently, my worry again, you asked me, what is my worry going to 2020? It is pass rushing.
They got shell-shocked. They got shell-shocked. They got hit in the mouth early, and they threw them off their game. That just happens. And also, one thing I want to point out is that they won 13 in a row at that point. And, we've all watched enough NFL football to know that at some point, there's going to be a point in the season where a team just plays their best football. And the Ravens
they peaked too early. Yeah,
they peaked a little bit too early. They played the best football, and they happened to play the Titans, who were just playing fantastic football at that point.
And they were outcoached, and none of the pressure was on the Titans. I mean, in either of those 2 games that they were in, they weren't expected to win. So all the pressure was really on those 2 teams.
Yeah,
that's just football. That's why we play the games. And I don't think it's going to be something that's going to hamper the Ravens. You have to be really fortunate. That's why they won 13 in a row against the Ravens. You have to be really fortunate to get up 14 points. Now, if you do, you're in a good spot, but only 2 teams this year got 14 points up on the Ravens. So, and it was both teams.
Okay, but
get your last word before I mute you.
If we're going to look at the team that is in the Super Bowl, they also have an elite offense, and that offense was down 2 touchdowns or 2 scores in back-to-back games and came back and won those games convincingly, right? That's what good offenses do.
They also lost 4 games in the regular season.
This idea of the 14 wins that the Ravens had in the regular season means nothing, right? I mean, this is a lost season. This is a bad season for the Ravens in the long run. What Ravens fans are going to remember about this is that this was disappointment. This is a window. They could have won the Super Bowl this year. Okay, let me ask you something. The Steelers went 13-3 in 2017. They lost to Blake Bortles in the playoffs a year. Do you guys remember that as a really great year for the Steelers?
Yes.
I think I look back and reminisce
compared to what y'all doing now. That's a pretty good year for the
Jaguars. They should have won the Super Bowl that year. They lost to Blake Bortles. The fact that the Ravens lost to Ryan Tannehill is not going to be remembered.
The Ravens definitely should have went to the Super Bowl. I agree. If I'm not mistaken, I think Vegas had the odds of the Ravens going to the Super Bowl up at the top with 49ers. So
I agree on that.
14-2 was still an amazing year, but I think if it was a banner year, I think that I would be disappointed if you guys if you guys would have went to the AFC Championship and went 14-2, then I would have been it's still a good year. But for you guys to have a Super Bowl kind of year, but to me, nothing against the Ravens. I think the Ravens had the brightest future of all of the teams here that I can definitively say. But man, you guys, I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of shocked that you guys didn't go to the Super Bowl.
When I started this podcast with the one word thing, I said it. Our season was incomplete, and I still think we should have gone at least to the Super Bowl, right? Anyway, because the podcast has been running a little bit long, I want to know Super Bowl predictions. Let's start with Ace. What is your Super Bowl prediction? Who do you have winning, score prediction, all that good stuff?
I think this one for me, I think I'm going to go with the 49ers, and for multiple reasons. A lot of people just keep, for some reason, building this narrative that the 49ers are a defensive team. They are a complete team. They can score with anybody. You look at Kyle Shanahan, he's probably the best offensive genius in the league right now. He's going up against another one in Andy Reid. But I think his style is very aggressive. I witnessed that in week 2 of the regular season where they put their foot on our neck and they just continued to curb stomp us until we stopped breathing. So I think that that's what is going to will them in this game. They can score points. That defensive line is beastie. And I think that they have a better defense than the Kansas City Chiefs do. And I think that they can score with them. I don't think that Jimmy Garoppolo is even in the same league as Pat Mahomes is, but I think that their head coach and Kyle Shanahan will bridge the gap in between being able to answer the bell when it comes to scoring. And I've got the 49ers.
Okay. Tony.
I actually don't. I don't know. I actually haven't made my prediction yet. So I guess I'll have to make it here. I keep going back and forth. So I have this big belief, right? Defense doesn't matter. You offense first, then defense. And Ace is right that the 49ers are not just a defense team. They have a very good offense. They have a very good running game. But the Chiefs offense is clearly better, I think, than the Niners offense. And so that's where I initially lead. Then I go to the coaches, though. And Andy Reid's going to win a Super Bowl. But then on the other hand, Kyle Shanahan blew a 28-3 lead. So that happened as well in the Super Bowl. I'm going to go with, but I'm going to go there. I'm going to say that Kyle Shanahan has learned from that moment. He's a better coach than Andy Reid is. And I'm going to say that the 49ers win this game. I go back and forth. So it's not, if this is going to be a close game, it wouldn't shock me if the Chiefs win this one. I'm very excited to watch it, but I'm going to pick the Niners to win.
Quincy?
I'm excited about this game. I'm kind of worried that it's not going to be a close game. I think either one team's going to come out and blow out the other one. You did bring up an interesting point because betting with the Chiefs would mean that Andy Reid wins the Super Bowl. It's like the modern day Marty Schottenheimer right there. But Marty never made it this far. But Patrick Mahomes, if we do the quarterback comp, the only thing they got in relation with Jimmy Garoppolo is that they play quarterback. Other than that, they're completely different zones. And this is a big moment for Jimmy Garoppolo and a young San Francisco 49ers team. The Chiefs kind of have been in this moment, came so close, jumped off sides last year. Now they're kind of have a killer mentality this year. I think the Chiefs are going to come out with this one. I think the better quarterback wins. And I think that we're going to see Jimmy Garoppolo kind of fold into a ball a little bit and shrink under the pressure like Tony suggests that Lamar Jackson does wrongly. But we're going to see him shrink under the pressure. And I think one of the big topics during the offseason is going to be if the San Francisco 49ers are going to be interested in bringing in Tom Brady next year to replace Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay, so I think you guys are talking about this. I actually agree with Quincy because I have the Chiefs winning. And I think that's what's going to open the door. Obviously, if the Niners win, then that door's not open. But big thing is, I think, I can see either team winning. They're very good teams, both of them. Should be a great, like you guys said, or Quincy said, I'm afraid that it might be a blowout one way or the other. I'm hoping it's a good game regardless. This is where I have it. If the Chiefs can contain the running game of the Niners, then they win. I didn't say stop it. I say contain it.
Yeah.
I don't think Garoppolo can.
No.
I don't think Garoppolo can win that game.
Running game.
I don't think they can stop the running game. That's the thing.
Nobody can stop that running game.
Well,
that running game is crazy.
It's contain it. They need to figure out how to.
They need to get them within the 20s.
Well, I mean, and I hate to bring this up, but like if the Chiefs go up 14-0 and it's all on Jimmy G, I agree with Quincy on this one. It's going to be a problem.
Yeah, but the big thing is the Chiefs can score quick, right? The Chiefs can score quick. The Niners are going to try to slow down that game.
That defensive line, man, that defensive line is not to be played with.
All four of our team play them this year.
Right?
Yes.
Play them. So we know that it is a good D-line.
Niners are very good.
It's the best D-line in the league, in my opinion. It's the best.
It's probably one of the best defensive line I've seen in modern NFL, especially how long and versatile they are. Like, they don't even need to be a 3-4 or 4-4-3. They're just the 49ers. You know, I think it's interesting, but if it were a more stationary quarterback and if it weren't somebody as mobile and as off-platform good as Patrick Mahomes, I would be more concerned. But man,
and the chemistry, right? So Patrick Mahomes slides out of that pocket because they're rushing him, and the cheetah knows this dude's running. He's probably gonna throw it to nobody's there. He's probably gonna throw it there, and he's just gonna get there. I think the Niners, not the Niners, the Chiefs squeak by and win this game.
Yeah, Kittle. A lot of people are forgetting about Kittle.
No. I look. I'm saying both teams are hell of a teams.
I like Deebo Samuel a lot too on the Niners.
Yeah, Deebo Samuels. Yeah, Sanders.
You are like a mediocre receivers, Tony.
Okay. The guy who watched OBJ and Jarvis Landry all day.
Okay, OBJ and Jarvis.
Don't talk about overrated wide receivers. I got 2 of them for you.
Okay, so and the other thing is, I do want Andy Reid. I like Andy Reid, so I'm hoping that he wins. I had no bone in this fight, right? So I want Andy Reid to win it. It sucks to hit a second ring, so so I'm a little bit biased on that side. Anyway, guys, this is it for this one.
Can I do one? So
no,
threw out a quarterback thing.
Let me mute him.
Hold on.
I'm just joking.
Tony, hold on 1 second real quick. I think it's time to acknowledge something. I'm looking at szg.sports subscriber count, and it looks like it's over 1,000.
Yeah. Thank you.
Happy 1K,
appreciate that.
Sonny.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, now I need about 200 people to hit unsubscribe right now.
Whoa.
I agree. I want to be 1,000. So look, I don't know if you guys remember the first time we all 4 got together, Sonny we were talking about Andrew Luck, right? The first thing that happened was Andrew Luck. And I said,
that's right.
Andrew Luck is going to the Patriots. Now, Tom Brady's not going to be a Patriot next year. I think we can all agree on this.
I see
who's going to be the Patriots quarterback next year? Could it be Andrew Luck? It's my greatest fear.
For that to happen, he has to unretire, and then the Colts will have to trade him.
Trade his rights.
Yeah. Right.
If I'm the Colts,
well, he does the whole "I'm only coming out to play for the Patriots" thing. So the Patriots have to give up something.
Remember the GM of the Colts and the whole situation with McDaniels, and he said the rivalry's on.
Yeah.
I don't know if he will say, "Yeah, you know what? Here, look." I think it will take a massive deal for him to trade to the Patriots specifically. I like the conspiracy, but
I can see that. It's not really a conspiracy. I always thought when he retired, I thought the only reason Luck would ever come back out is if he could play with Belichick and the perfect situation for him in New England. And now we were going to have that situation open up right away for him. So I think it just makes a lot of sense. Now you're right to say that the Colts may not do it. Although if you're the Colts and you can get an asset for something that you're going to get nothing back for, right? Right now they get nothing back for Luck. Even if you can get a 3rd round pick from the Patriots, I mean that's better than nothing you're getting for him today.
I don't know, because if Luck is back to what he was with Bill Belichick, and then they can terrorize the Colts, especially the Colts, they don't have a quarterback. I don't know.
I can't wait to see the red rifle with Bill Belichick.
Let's do some role play, me and you. All right, you're going to be Andrew Luck. Hey, I'm only going to the Patriots. All right. And the Patriots call me. Hey, we heard Andrew Luck's available. Here's what I'm doing.
Yes, exactly.
Leave my number. How did you get my number? Get out of here. I'm about to trade you.
Yeah, exactly.
I expect to win. I'm not about to try to trade my competition's biggest piece. Are you? No.
Exactly.
No, you better wait it out, Andrew. Retire for real. All right.
The only
court for arbitration. You're not getting out.
The only way you trade Luck to the New England Patriots is if you say, "I have your 1st round picks in perpetuity," and then you can
in perpetuity. I like that.
No. It's like, look, homeboy, you ain't going there, but I can trade you to what's the NFC team? I'll trade you to Detroit. We'll trade you to Detroit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The funniest thing this season for the Bengals was when the Patriots guy got caught. Like,
Yes. Let's talk about that. Oh, you know what? If the Patriots got caught-
documentary.
like,
What?
I'm sorry, I didn't know I couldn't do that.
There's no
This ain't.
Hey man, let's just delete it. We'll just delete it. It's fine. It's fine. Listen, I don't even know what
the Bengals. Who needs filling the Bengals?
I don't know what a backup is. I literally don't know how to operate a computer.
Bengals. Oh my God. Who wouldn't you cheat on? Oh my God.
The Patriots gave the same excuses that I would if like my girl found my Tinder account. Like that's really the excuses that they gave. Oh no, I don't use it. No, I'm not. It's not. I'm using it to find friends. It's networking. Nah,
it's a networking tool. A networking tool. No man, but nothing happened to that, right?
No, they haven't announced the punishment yet.
Yeah, they haven't announced the punishment yet, but it's going down, man.
Their punishment is going to be they're mandated to trade for Andy Dalton. That's going to be their punishment.
You think so? I will say better punishment is they have to start the Duck or Rudolph the next game.
Boo! Boo!
They didn't mess up that bad. They didn't mess up that bad. Okay.
I will not say Duck slander. Okay, I've had about enough.
There we go.
Duck slander on this podcast.
$5
Listen,
on that costume for the next Charlie Batch.
8-8 with one of the worst offenses in the league. So can we quit it with the Duck hate, please?
It's funny when you talk through there. It sounds just like Duck's passes looked very muffled.
Okay, so my guys, we're gonna end the podcast on this note. I think it was awesome. It was fun. It was great. Obviously, we're gonna do this again, probably after the draft, so we can do how our offseason is going. So, but before we go, Ace, tell them where they can find you.
Ace Boogie of New Stripe City. That is my YouTube channel. Sonny, thanks for having me on. I really enjoyed doing this with you guys. Looking forward to the next one. But you can find me at New Stripe City on YouTube. You can also find me on any podcast that you get your network. If you want to kind of catch up on a Bengals podcast, stay in tune. Sometimes I have these guys on there. You can find us under the name Cincy Jungle. There's an acronym that starts with my episodes because we are a podcast syndicate. You can find those under the acronym for Orange is the New Black.
Okay, Quincy.
What's up, guys? You can find me on YouTube at Quincy Carrier. I mean, not Quincy Carrier. I don't own YouTube. You can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/Quincy Carrier, or just put this name that you see in the corner of my thing in your little search bar on Google or YouTube, and I'll pop up. You'll see my face there. Click a video. You'll enjoy anything I do because I'm the greatest of all time. I'm like Tony Serrano over here cheering for the Raiders.
Serrano. Okay.
I like this.
No, cut him off. Mute his mic. Mute his mic.
You can also find me on Twitter at Quincy. I also have a burner account at Boo Boo Smith Schuster. Shout out to that.
I love it. Okay, Tony, where they cannot find you?
Yeah, where can you not find me? I am no longer the host of the Locked On Steelers podcast. I am a free agent. I am a true free agent this offseason. I'm not podcasting anymore. You can follow me on Twitter at Steeler Country. I don't know what I'm going to be doing going forward, but if you want to find my work afterwards, I guess just follow me on Twitter. If I do something again, you'll find it there. But Sonny, I appreciate you having me on, and I love doing these. So if you guys do these again, please invite me back because this is my favorite.
One of the best things that I found today was the mute button.
Great.
Great. You only muted the Steelers guy though. That was not.
He was the obnoxious guy in this episode.
Like I said, we Steeler fans very humble, soft spoken. So I don't know why you had to use the mute button today. It doesn't seem.
Anyway, guys, like I said, tomorrow I'm gonna be dropping a video. It's gonna be a giveaway video for commemorating the 1,000 subscribers. Thank you to all of you guys. Don't forget to like this video. Also, the channels for these guys are in the description below. Thank you for joining the live stream, guys. It was awesome. I will see you on the next time. Peace out, my guys. Big trust.